Now, Oliver, let's get your thoughts on this. You know, good news on the economy today, undoubtedly. Employment numbers are a lot better than many people expected. But this revelation, understandably, people over 50 especially, getting ready for their retirement or in retirement, worried that inflation's sticking around so long, so high, that their savings won't last. It's an understandable concern. So they've really got to get that inflation problem under control.
Yeah, they do, Chris, because we're now talking here about 50% of people over the age of 55. So that's, you know, 1 in 2 people at the moment who are really worried about how far their money is going to go in retirement. And look, I feel at the moment, Chris, that we're actually not hearing enough from government in regards to how we're going to look after older Australians. We've had this week of sort of tax thought bubbles and inheritance taxes coming out from the Productivity Commissioner, and this idea that, you know, we've got to try and reform the tax system. Everybody likes that idea, but, you know, for older Australians at the moment in particular, they're feeling vulnerable. They're feeling as though they've paid their taxes all their lives, they're living off their super, or they've, you know, been on a pension, and now all this uncertainty that's been created in regards to their future, I don't like it. I feel like it's a bit ageist at the moment, and I'm really sticking up for older Australians here, Chris, and I know many are watching us here on Sky News this evening. You need to still have a fair go and a comfortable retirement, because that's sort of the backbone of what our country's been built on, and I can understand their concerns at the moment. Yeah,
you've got to absolutely look after that sector. We're not really hearing anything from the government. As you say, as Oliver said, Caleb, all we've heard on this is the government talking about, well, the government's new appointee talking about death duties, for crying out loud.
I know, and look, the amount of superannuation you need to have a quote-unquote comfortable retirement has gone from $545,000 to $595,000 in 1 year. That's an extra $50,000 has been added to that amount. And a lot of people are looking at their money, including people who are leading into the global financial crisis about 15 years ago, were thinking towards their retirement and watched their savings evaporate overnight. Many of them still have not recovered all the money they lost in that period. And now they're going, well, what am I going to do now? I'm hit by inflationary pressure. And then when I retire and I go on the pension, perhaps I'd like to work 10 hours a week or something to supplement my income, but the government doesn't seem to entertain that either. There are so many things you could do to affect quality of life, and they have no interest in doing so.
Yeah, and rents are going up for those who don't own their home outright, if they haven't got a mortgage. So it's a problem, and we'll keep on it, and the government needs to say and do more in this space. I want to stick on the economy, though, and follow up to this Tim Gurner guy, the multi-millionaire property developer from Melbourne. Let's have a look at what he said again. You can't see this often enough.
We need to see unemployment rise. Unemployment has to jump 40, 50% in my view. We need to see pain in the economy. We need to remind people that they work for the employer, not the other way around.
Yeah, just extraordinary stuff, Oliver. And he said that tradies and others have been getting paid too much for doing too little, and we've all got to face this pain in order for the economy to move on. Unsurprisingly, today he's had to put out a pretty grovelling apology, saying he didn't show any empathy, that he was wrong, and that people actually, you know, the surprising news, guess what? When people lose their jobs, it hurts.
No, of course it hurts. I think the fact he used those extreme examples was wrong of what Tim Gurner's had to say. I think the premise of what he was obviously trying to say there, Chris, is, yeah, come on a moment. This is an employee's market at the moment. You want to value your job. You know, we've had lots of feedback on the talkback lines the last 24 hours with this. You know, lots of employers are saying, well, hold on a moment. Is it a bit of a generational thing? Are people just not willing to, you know, roll up their sleeves, do some hard work, you know, earn an honest day's wage for an honest day's work? That's one thing. But to go to that length and then say, hold on a moment, we need pain in the economy, mass unemployment, no one wants that. I mean, we're just talking about the fact that older Australians are looking at their retirement savings, and as Caleb just quite rightly identified, you've had to earn another $50,000 in the last year for a comfortable retirement in a year. I mean, wages are not going up at the level of what inflation's going up in Australia at the moment. So, exactly.
Yeah, real wages still going backwards. Now, yeah, look, Caleb, sure, we've got to get people back into the workplace. Sure, we've got to increase productivity, have that conversation. But to say you want unemployment to go up, another couple of 100,000 people to lose their jobs, That's not just insensitive, it's obscene.
Well, it's patently ridiculous, and we showed a graph on the show last night which shows very clearly that the increase in productivity has outstripped the increase in real wages. Productivity has gone through the roof in the last decade, 15 years, and it has not been matched by wages. So that argument doesn't hold water. But the bloke's a developer, which means he's building properties, apartments, whatever. Now, presumably, he wants people to buy those apartments once he's built them. In order to buy those apartments, they need jobs. So he's saying, I want fewer people in the pool who can actually buy these apartments. And by the way, if you have, let's say, 200,000-300,000 extra people out of the workforce, does that not mean that those who are left are then given more leverage to demand more from their employer because there are fewer people available to employ? I don't think it makes any sense.
Doesn't make any sense at all.